Hey guys, it's me, Anchor64 again, with another type of guide. This time I want to talk about Drakefang Talisman, or DFT in short. And as you already saw from the title, maybe a bit of a controversial one, but I personally think you shouldn't really go for this item unless you have everything else. I'm going to explain why that is the case and show you some things. This is going to be a bit more of a discussion video. But yeah, that's pretty much what this video will be. As always, if you like these kinds of videos, feel free to like, subscribe. If you don't like them, give it a dislike. If you have anything to say, feel free to comment or any questions. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Let's start with the video. First of all, let me explain a bit what Drakefang Talisman even is. Drakefang Talisman is a really famous trinket. It drops from Blackwing Lair, and as you can see, it is really strong actually from the stats alone. It gives you 56 attack power, 2% hit chance, and 1% dodge. So pretty nice actually. The thing is, in Classic we don't really have a lot of really strong trinkets. Most of them are pretty bad, and the ones we are using that are really strong, there are only a few actually. So yeah, it's kind of weird, especially if you compare this to later expansions. This kind of trinket in later expansions, like you would only think it's kind of a stat stick, whatever. Okay, but let's talk about this a bit more. One problem we already have is it's contested by a lot of classes. So it's the best in slot trinket for Fury Warriors, Feral Druids, Hunters, Rogues, and Protection Warriors. So yeah, that's one thing already. That's kind of annoying. It's not really easy to get. Okay, look at other things. Actually, I recently did a Blackwing Lair, and I still have the soft reserve up. So let's look at that. The one thing you can see actually is a lot of people soft reserve Drakefang Talisman. Like 7 different people. This is another clue for you. This is another proof, for example, that this item is really contested by a lot of different people, different classes, sorry. So yeah, as you can see, like 7 soft reserves on this one. That's what I said, it's pretty annoying to get actually. Okay, so kind of weird. I said you shouldn't really go for this item. There are a lot of different SRs. It's also the best in slot item. So there's a bit of an, like I said, what would you say? Hypocrisy? You could call it hypocrisy. That's not really true. Let's look at why the trinket isn't so strong anymore. Basically, I took this screenshot from the Fight Club Discord. Biana, I think one of the moderators of the Fight Club Discord, made this post. If you don't know, the Fight Club Discord is a really good source of information about warriors. So if you have, like, I would suggest everyone which wants to min-max a bit about warrior, not even min-max, just wants to have some right information, should just go to the Discord and read some, especially like the older archived stuff, and you can actually gain a lot of good information from that Discord. So yeah, what does it say? First of all, the question: should you take DFT? Overall, in summary, is actually no, and the explanation for this one is the following. So back in 2019, we had a batch window of 400 milliseconds. So you can, if you don't really know what a batch window is, you can kind of imagine that it's a bit of lag we have, like intentional lag, which kind of exists. So yeah, what this would lead to is if you would use Hodge, so Hand of Justice, Trinket, if we did proc it, we could reset our swing up to 800 milliseconds into our swing pretty much. So after 800 milliseconds, our swing would be reset. So that would be pretty annoying. What this would mean, like, you could be half into your swing. Of course, every weapon has like a swing timer, like 2.6 seconds or something. So it would be half at your swing, like 1.3 seconds, and then it would reset it. So you would start at 0 again and would need to wait another 2.6 seconds to hit with your main head or off head or whatever again. So yeah, this would be really annoying. And that's why, for example, DFT was such a big increase over Hand of Justice. Because of course DFT doesn't have anything with swings or whatever, it just gives you stats. So what's the change? What's the change? So in 2025, when the Fresh Realms got introduced, they actually decreased that batch window to 10 milliseconds. So from 400 milliseconds, we went to the modern version of 10 milliseconds. So what does this mean is, at most, our swing will only reset like 20 milliseconds in. So it isn't really, yeah, maybe it's not really any different. So you wouldn't really even notice it when your swing would get reset by Hodge, even if it would be at 20 milliseconds. So yeah, 800 milliseconds compared to that is a lot more. So which would be really annoying actually. What this led to is that Hands of Justice is a much stronger trinket right now than it was in 2019. So for everyone who doesn't have it, really try to go for this trinket. Also, what this means, compared to Drakefang Talisman, it's not such a big damage increase to go for Drakefang Talisman instead of Hands of Justice. As you can see, only 0.25% to 0.65 upgrade across the 3 warrior simulations. So yeah, this is the reason pretty much, and for this reason, like it also says here, you should instead try to give it to tanks and rogues first, because they gain more by using DFT than you would. However, not everyone knows about this, because of course it's hidden information. You wouldn't really know that unless you do a lot of simulations or whatever, or you read on different sources or whatever. So yeah, that's why you still have a lot of people soft reserving these items. That can be actually good for you though. You can use that for your advantage. I'm going to talk about this also a bit later. First of all, let's actually look at the simulations. So right now, this is my current gear setup I have. And as you can see, of course, I don't have DFT. Yeah, I'm not really that lucky with my gear. So yeah, but that's whatever. Let me sim it. So this is currently my the average DPS I would do with this gear. So the simulation does with this gear. So it's like 1052 DPS. Okay. What would happen if I would replace Hands of Justice with Drakefang Talisman? Let me look at it. And yeah, it would give me a damage increase, like around 13, 14 DPS. But it's not really much, to be honest. Even though my gear is pretty bad, still it's not really much of a DPS increase. So instead, what I would do is, let's look what would happen if I replace these boots I have right now, Windweaver Greaves, with chromatic boots. Let's look at this. Oh yeah, it's actually more of a DPS increase, like around 18, like 20. So the thing is, if you grinded a lot of PvP, you are probably going to have these boots, martial plate boots, and of course chromatic boots are not that big of an increase. Like the plates boots are only 4 DPS. So yeah, that's one thing. So maybe chromatic boots would be not your choice. The thing is I want to make apparent is, and I would recommend, is go for other items first instead of DFT. Let your warriors that don't really know it, don't know about it, let your rogues, let your like protection warriors fight. Fight who should get the trinket, and by the meantime, you should just try to get everything else that is best installed for you. So get your chromatic boots, get your whatever the cloak is called, Cloak of Draconic Might, get your Onsnor Girdle and Molten Core if you do like an DKP system or something where multiple raids are of course considered. Get your Striker's Mark and so on. And try to get a lot of different biz pieces, and then maybe at the end, or if you really don't really have anything else that is such a big much of a big increase, then you can go for DFT. So that's what I would recommend. For example, some examples, let me mention them. Of course, right now I don't really have a lot of good gear, so for me personally it would make no sense to actually go for DFT. If I would go for DFT, it would make no sense at all, because there are a lot of better different items I could go for. For example, the best thing I should go for right now is to get, because I don't really grind PvP, is to get chromatically tempered swords, for example. So trying to get that, since I have Melee, I could use this, and as you can see, this would probably give me the biggest damage increase out of all items I could replace. So yeah, this is like 30 DPS increase if I get this sword. Okay, so that's one thing. What else could I maybe get? It's just that, like, so you have an example. So maybe you have a similar gear situation where you didn't really grind till rank 14 or something, and have a different gear setup. But what item should you go for instead? Sorry. You can also go, of course, for Onslaught Girdle. Let's see how much of an increase that is. Yeah, of course, it's also like a bigger increase than DFT actually. But yeah, it's also contested, of course. What else should we go for? Sorry, my voice kinda dying. My voice, I don't know why. Probably talked too much. But yeah, you could maybe go for this one. But like I said, there are a lot of different options you can go for. So that's the thing. You can abuse the fact that everyone's going for DFT because they are still in 2019. A lot of people are saying, you must get the trinket, you must get it, whatever. They are still on that mindset. But you can just abuse the fact that's not really true and go for different items instead, and you have less competition on them. So, for example, one thing I mentioned previously, chromatically tempered swords, or CTS in short, actually there are a lot less people trying to SR them. When I did the raid, like maybe one other person would try to soft reserve this item, or yeah, even at the start. So first of all, because everyone, not like everyone, a lot of people grinded to rank 14, so they don't really need to soft reserve swords and such. But yeah, that's one of the reasons. Other reasons, everyone using like the DKP, the soft reserve on DFT. Maybe some people are using 2, some people are using 1. So yeah, my recommendation is try to fill up your slots in other places where there are contested items like chromatic boots, onslaught girdle, swords, and of course these are your biggest damage increase. And just keep your hand of justice and your diamond flask. And while everyone else is fighting over DFT, you can just enjoy getting everything else. And then while some people then have DFT, you can try to get try to get it. Maybe by then AQ will be out, so it will be a bit different, and you can even get for go for other trinkets instead. Like for example, John Gabba or Curse of the Spider, like it is mentioned on here as well, because of course we will get in AQ we will get other trinkets like John Gabba, and this of course will also be higher damage increase than for example DFT. Okay, I could talk about this a bit more, but whatever. I think it's a long enough video already. I hope you could gain some information with this. Maybe use this for your advantage and try to abuse effect. In summary, what I would recommend is don't rush DFT. Try to get other items first, other best in slot contested items, and then go for DFT at the end. When you pretty much have everything else that you really want. That way you can actually gear up your warrior way more smartly, and are not stuck on one item every reset. Okay, so yeah, this was pretty much all. If you liked this video, give it a like. If you didn't like, give it a dislike. If you have any question, like always, feel free to comment. This was me, Anchor64, and I hope I can see you on the next video. Have fun, have a great day. Bye.